Hello, friends of HVR or Hover Streaming. My name is Kayla, and I am here with our Christian indie folk artist, Jen and Msumba. Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hello, Kayla. I'm very well.
It's so good to be with you. I know that you are a one of the newest collaborators with HVR, so we're really excited to be with you and just have a conversation, getting to know you a little bit more.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. All right, we're gonna jump right into it. And the first question we have for you is: if you could collaborate with any mainstream artist, who would that be?
Oh, easily it would be. Well, she's a Christian artist. Her name is Natalie Lane.
Oh, tell us more. Why would that be the person you choose?
Oh, well, I first discovered her on Instagram, and she was just singing about joy. And at first, I was listening, and she was playing the piano and playing the piano and just singing. And her smile, it was true joy. And I started following her, and I was like, oh, she's singing about Jesus.
Wow.
And I ended up going to one of her concerts, and I got to meet her in person. And I really like her love for the Lord and just the way she is, and I just think it would be great to collaborate with her.
That's fantastic. Wow. Yeah, you're making me want to go see who she is. Like, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I wanna get to know that music. All right, Jen, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my, okay. This is kind of funny, but it's a song from the 90s, and it's called Run Around by Blues Traveler.
Okay, you know I'm gonna ask you to sing it a little bit, right? How does it go? How does it go?
I'm not going to sing it well, but is it a surefire way to speed things up when all it does is slow me down? That was a terrible vocal performance.
You sound great. You sound great. Thanks for sharing that. All right, Jen, next question. What's the most memorable concert or music festival you've ever attended, and what made it stand out?
Well, I haven't been to a lot of concerts, but there was one. It's not a Christian concert artist, but it's a band called Blue October, and it was just fun because I like his story, because his original music, and it was kind of before I like really got saved, and his original music was about like all his problems, but then he has overcome his problems, and he sings about happiness and family and home. And that concert at the very end, it was an outdoor concert here in Florida, and it just started raining, but it was like this warm rain. It wasn't the typical Florida thunder and lightning, like, oh, you gotta run inside rain. It was just this wonderful, refreshing rain, and everyone was dancing, and it was just a really cool moment.
Oh, good memories. Good memories.
Yeah.
Memorable moments. Yeah. Listen, we just want to let our listeners know that Lemonade's in the back, and that's gonna be okay. Sometimes we're gonna hear it. Is it a she or a he?
She.
Is it she? So Lemonade is Jen's dog, right?
Yes.
So we'll hear Lemonade from time to time. Just that's totally okay. If it gets too much, we'll pause, but that's totally good. Let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, who would play me in a movie about my life? I don't have the name, but it would be, there's this one girl another Instagram person I follow, and she's a dancer, and she follows me back on Instagram, and I'm blanking on her name, but she would definitely play young Jen.
Nice.
Like, she's got the same complexion, and I don't know, I just think that she would be a really cool young Jen.
Sounds good. Cool stuff. All right, you'll tell us the name later.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Tell us about your journey as a Christian and a songwriter.
Well, I was raised in a Christian household, and but like a lot of people, when I got to be a teenager, I never really understood Jesus, I never really understood. Like I I followed it, but it was more because, like my dad would say, "Oh, this is what we do." I didn't really understand fully about the gospel.
Mm.
And then when I got into my teenage years, I had a lot of depression because I'm on the autism spectrum, and it got harder when I got into high school because I was really lonely. No one wanted to be my friend, and my mom was sick. She had cancer, and it was just a lot. And I ended up having to be in like a residential school so that I could be like safe and have help. And so those years were kind of lost on me as far as my faith.
Mm.
But and then I ended up in like a really hard place to be, a facility that was a really hard place to be. We'll just leave it at that. And but I was like watching TV one morning, and it was the story of Jesus. It was like one of those early morning programs, and they were talking about Jesus, and it just caught my attention. I couldn't stop watching. And then it was at the end, they said, this was for the early 2000s. They said, you can call us and we'll do you can do Bible classes through the mail.
Wow.
So that morning was a set of events of things I would never do. Like I would always turn on cartoons in the morning, but I turned on this show and then I watched it. And then I made a phone call to an 800 number and signed up for Bible classes by mail. It was God, because none of those things were anything I would ever do.
Yeah.
And I did my little classes through the mail, and every week they would send me a new booklet, and I would answer the questions at the end, send it in. And when I finished, I got a real understanding of who Jesus was, what his sacrifice for us meant. And I said, oh, I want to be baptized. Like, I want to be baptized right now, So I told my family and the people where I lived, and they did arrange for me to get baptized in the church I grew up in.
Yeah.
My mom, she had overcome her cancer, so she was still alive, but my dad unfortunately had passed away. And but when I came up out of that water, everything changed.
Wow.
In an instant, because I meant it fully in my heart, and it was just amazing, and I became a new person.
Wow.
Just like it says, I'm making you a new heart, a heart of flesh and not of stone. And I started having so many people that loved me and like wanted to be around me, but it's not me that they want to be around. It's Jesus. It's Jesus. It's his light. It's his love. And I always pray every morning, God, let me do the work you gave to me, and let me show your light and love in everything I do.
Wow, Jennifer. I want to come back to you in a minute with that question, because we also want to know about your journey as a songwriter. But before you tell us about being a songwriter, so I am a mom of a child in the spectrum as well. He's 10 years old. So this question was not on the list, so you may not be ready for it, and that's okay. But what advice would you give to parents with children on the spectrum? Because I feel like so many parents are just lost, and I belong to a community of parents of children in special needs. We support one another. We're there for one another. The world doesn't really get it. Other parents don't really get us. We don't get our kids don't get us. It's a very interesting thing. But what advice would you give to parents who are raising kids on the spectrum today?
Oh, for sure. I know for my mom, she has a lot of, at times sometimes she even cries, but she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know what to do. I tried to help. So just don't feel guilty. Don't feel like if you're at a loss, at a time of how to help your child in a moment, like it's okay. And you're both figuring it out together. And I could tell you that everybody's on a different path with their autism. Everybody has different skills and different areas where they need support. But we are all I just feel like I have so many friends on the spectrum, and everyone has like something in them that help them find what they love.
Gotcha.
For me, it's music, but other kids, it could be facts about animals or whatever. And you take that and use it and let them be 100% in that. You know, some programs will say, well, if your child does A, then they can do B, the thing that they like. But just let them do that thing they love. If it's a healthy thing, let them do that thing, because that's their connection to the world and to and it can help you connect with your child. And the last thing I would say is it gets easier as you grow up. For me, it was really hard when I was younger, but it took me longer than most people, but I feel like I'm finally catching up, and I'm where I need to be at. So just be patient, and it gets easier as you get older.
Yeah, that is so inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jen. I know that wasn't on our list of questions, but
That's fine.
I needed to take advantage of you there to make use of your knowledge and your experiences, because I know so many of us need it. So how did you become a songwriter?
I used to only play piano. Like, I would just play piano. I made YouTube videos. You would not hear my voice. I would just learn a song, because I could learn a song by ear and just play it. So I started doing that on YouTube. I would just learn a song every day and play it and record it. And then, I don't know, there was one day I woke up, and it was about right before the pandemic, but it was in like 2018. And I told my music mentor, I feel like I want to write songs because I have things to say. And she encouraged me, and I started writing songs. They weren't the best songs, like the best lyrically written songs, but I started expressing myself and teaching myself guitar. And I just fell in love with expressing my heart through music. It was a lot easier than with words. You might think, well, Jen, you're pretty well spoken on this podcast, but it takes a lot out of me. Like, it's when I communicate, just like face to face with people, it's something that I have to put a lot of my energy to, and then I'm very tired. But music, it's easy. I take all the things that have happened to me in my past, good and bad, and I can put them in a story, and I can say as specific or as unspecific as I want, and people tend to relate to what I write.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I'm so glad that you were able to find that out, to be able to put that into writing, into music, which you love. I mean, it's so inspirational. Thank you for sharing that. So, okay, next question. What inspires your songwriting? You might have mentioned this a little bit. Any stories behind the songs that you have out now?
Yeah, so definitely I always write about my life experiences. Most of my songs are pretty specific in what inspired them, but when you listen to it, it's not like, oh, I don't get that because that's her story. I try to write it in a way that it could be for you too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's one song I have out, it's called Highway 93, and it's about when I lived in a group home that was not a nice place to be, and I used to get home passes, and those home passes were everything to me, because I would be with my mom and my family, and no one would be, hurting me. And my mom didn't really know too much about what was going on, and she didn't really have control over the situation at the time. And so I'd have to go back at the end of the weekend. And it was a sad drive for both my mom and I. And we took Route 93 in Boston to get back to my group home, and we would pass this antenna on the hill, big antenna that was located on a hill. And when I would see that antenna, I would know we were almost there. And we really wouldn't talk a lot. I would always put on the radio and just kind of go into my own world and just, I don't know. It was a really hard drive. And so I wrote a song called Highway 93 it's about that.
Wow. I think so many of us can relate to that, right? Because even for you, it was your drive to the group home. For some of us, could be getting somewhere, or maybe a destination in life that we just didn't want to get there, or whatever that may be. So I'm looking forward to hearing that one.
Thanks.
All right. As a Christian songwriter, we're almost there. As a Christian songwriter, what advice will you give to an aspiring songwriter who is just starting their creative journey?
As a Christian artist?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say, this is my biggest advice. You don't have to write like the music that's already written. Because when I first started writing, I'm writing a gospel EP right now. Well, I've written it. I'm in the process of getting it mixed and mastered. And it's not like all the other, a lot of the other gospel music that I would hear nowadays, or like Christian contemporary music. Like, sure, you can write that way if that's what you like, but don't feel like you have to make it the same way always. God gives you like your own creativity. We have our own creativity, and let yourself express. And I always will pray, like, God, help me to say this correctly, and help me to express my love for you, to give your word in this song. And that might look different than all the music you hear, because that music already exists.
Right.
So you don't have to try to copy it. Just be yourself.
Be yourself. Let your song out. Let your song sing. So good. And who inspires you as a songwriter?
Inspires me as a songwriter. Oh, he caught me. I would say I have a lot of influence from when I was a kid. My parents had a stack of records, and my mom played Carole King. I used to love to listen to Carole King.
Wow.
And Roberta Flack, and I don't sing like her or write those songs, but that's the music that I grew up kind of. James Taylor, just storytellers.
Yeah. So they each kind of influence a little bit, but like you said earlier, you're still trying to be yourself and let your own song come out.
Right.
Yeah. Good stuff. Do you have a favorite Bible verse that inspires you?
My favorite Bible verse, and I don't know the verbatim verse, but I have a lot of anxiety, and sometimes I get stuck on things, and I really like the verse that God has not given us a spirit of fear. Can you help me out with it? Do you know?
Yeah. But of power, love, and self-control.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So I mentioned to you earlier, I have a son on the spectrum. Every morning before he goes to school, that's the verse that we say.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. How has your music impacted others in your spiritual journey? Have you heard feedback and things like that? People come back to you.
Yes.
Can you share some of that with us?
Yes, I get DM messages on Instagram, or sometimes I even get emails. And just recently, someone messaged me and they said, I just love how you sing about happiness and joy, and it makes me hopeful and gives me hope.
Wow.
And sometimes it's not even, I just get those messages a lot that I help people feel hope, and they thank me for writing the music I write. I've had a lot of parents thank me for making music that they feel safe their kids can listen to, and they don't have to scrub through it, every bit of it. They're, and even on like my YouTube channel, I have parents thank me for making content their kids can watch. So I think I do get a lot of feedback on the fact that and the things I write is how I live. So I'm just being myself. Like, I guess I would be in the secular world, they'd call me wholesome. Like, that's me. Like, I'm really like that. I'm not like, oh, I'm this gen, but then I'm gonna make wholesome songs. And I don't feel like you can be both things. Like, that's my true heart. That's my true mind. When I write, am I perfect? No. Am I always wholesome? No. Like, but that's my heart. That's the way that's my spirit.
Yeah. So you're being your true self. Behind doors or in public, you're who you are. And that you mentioned earlier, the baptism experience that you had. You are a whole new person when you are in Christ. You are transformed, and it's hard. The Bible also tells us you can't give one fountain cannot give two waters, so sweet and sour. So I totally am there with you. I am so excited to meet you. I mean, I can't wait to go follow you and all these other things. I haven't done that yet. I went on Instagram and started listening to your music. I'm like, I can't wait to show my kids. It's so cool. So I'm gonna go after you in all your social media platforms and find you. So before we close it, there's one more question. Are there any projects that you're working on right now that we should be on the lookout for?
Yes, I'm working on a gospel EP, and it's gonna be called Something New. And right now I have 4 songs on that EP, and it's going to be something different than I've ever done, because I like to try new things. And it's a very upbeat, uplifting EP. So I think it'll be cool.
Wow, Jen, it's been an amazing few minutes of conversation with you. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll make sure that your platforms, addresses, and all those things are out there so people can go find you after they see all of this conversation. We're so excited, so happy that you are with the team, and we look forward to your new project. And stay connected with us, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, see you soon. Thanks, Jen. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.